Welcome to Inside Sim Racing and our continuing coverage of iRace4Life 2016. And one of the great things about iRace4Life is you get to meet a bunch of people that you usually wouldn't in real life, including Russell Hodgson from Z1 Dashboard.
That's great to meet you.
Yes, good to meet you and see you here. And you enjoy being here and showing off your product?
Oh, yeah, it's great. Like you said, you get to meet all these people. You've talked to them on, iRacing. And emails, and to see them face to face is really good, and you get their feedback, and it's an invaluable experience.
I assume it's almost easier because normally you're probably doing the whole chasing each other in emails or phone tags, and here you're like, hey, what do you want to know?
Yeah, it is easier. Yeah, you spend several days of emails back and forth, but here it takes 5 minutes. They've answered your question, you've answered their questions, and everything is so much easier.
Yes. So your product is Z1 Dashboard, and there might be a lot of you out there, especially if you've been in sim racing for a long time, that are very familiar with this because this has been kind of a staple in sim racing for a while now.
Yeah, we've been around now for 5 years with this.
Wow. So for those who might not be as familiar with it, can you kind of give a little overview of what it is and some of the other products that are related to it?
Sure. Well, the Z1 Dashboard, first and foremost, is about displaying a dashboard on your computer somewhere else than your main screens for your sim. Because one thing that I found when I first started it was if I have 3 monitors, most of the time, because of your field of view, you end up not being able to see the dashboard on the car. So this allows me to display a dashboard somewhere else. Maybe I have a 4th monitor. Maybe I have a Windows tablet. We also have this LCD screen here, and this is our new steering wheel. And both of these display dashboards. So if I'm in a particular car, say the McLaren F1, and I want to see the dash, all the information is displayed for me by the Z1 Dashboard. And we have every dash for every car in iRacing, which is about 70 at the moment, I think. So that was kind of the original purpose of it. And now we've expanded over the years to include things like track maps, which tells you obviously where you are, where your competition is, and important things like if I pit now, where am I going to come out? So I can tell if I'm going to come out in clean track or get stuck behind someone, or I'm going to beat the guy out who I'm racing. And then we have timing and scoring dashboards. And we have what we call our new one, which I think is kind of cool, our ahead-behind dashboard. So if I'm on a track and I want to see who is right in front of me on my track and who's right behind me, it gives me their car, their name, and importantly, their safety rating and their I rating.
Oh, wow.
And there's a lot of other dashboards too, but that's kind of an overview of what it does and how people have been using it.
Awesome. Yeah, I think one of my favorite features, like you said, that you have essentially the dashes of all the cars in iRacing.
Yes.
So I love when you're driving the McLaren, you have the McLaren dash, you jump on a Mercedes or whatever.
Right.
It's all right there, and I always thought that was such a really neat feature. Because a lot of other different dash displays and stuff like that, it's just generic.
Right.
It's the same for everything, but it's really cool that you get the customization per car.
Right. Well, we want that because we want a big part of sim racing is the immersion into being in the car. And if you have the dashboard, which is appropriate for whatever car you're driving, you just feel more into it. And you can change it to anything you want. So if you did have a favorite dashboard, you could use that for every car if you liked. Like with a new version we just had, for version 4.6, we have expanded it so that you can have the new horizontal NASCAR dashboards, which I know they're not available yet in iRacing. But a lot of people wanted those. They want to be up with 2016, and so we have a couple dashboards now, which are the 1280 by 440 resolution, and that's working out really well.
So before you turn essentially, sim racing, a hobby of yours, now into more of a business, what were you doing? What were you doing job-wise? What's your education background? Because obviously there's quite a bit that goes into this.
Right, there is quite a bit that goes into it. My background is quite diverse, I would say. I actually, a long time ago, did lighting design for theatrical productions and things like that, and but also computer science. So I was working on both. And my company, ZBlue Software, which publishes this dashboard software, also does data management for other companies.
Okay.
So we do that as well. My first foray into simulated products was actually back in the Microsoft Flight Simulator days. And we came out with a product which allowed you to edit airports. That was quite successful back in the 2000 or 2001, around that sort of time.
Awesome, awesome. So we have the Sam Maxwell wheel here that has the Z1 dashboard integrated.
Yep.
How did that project come about?
That was the idea of having the dashboard in a wheel is something which goes back quite a long time. When I originally did the dashboard, the idea was, well, how do you display this in a way which is very realistic? And obviously the answer is we'll put it in a wheel. But it's very hard to make a good wheel at a good price point, and you need to have a lot of experience. So over the years, I had tried various options, and we did have a wheel a long time ago, but in the end it proved a little bit, it was too expensive for what it was to create. And then about a year or so ago, I met Sam, and I'd known about his work for a long time, but hadn't actually had the chance to meet him. And we had been talking through emails, we should incorporate this into a wheel. And so since then, we've been working together on putting it into a wheel and having a wheel that Sam would make, because Sam's products are fantastic. And everyone knows him, and his build quality is just excellent. So we spent about a year developing this wheel, as far as the electronics inside, because an important part of it was to have just one USB connection. You didn't want to have one for the LEDs, one for the screen, one for the buttons, because it gets complicated. So we created a whole new board just for this screen and the LEDs. And then Sam came up with the whole design of how is the wheel going to look, the grips, the shifters, and everything like that. And then finally, about, I would say now 2 or 3 weeks ago, it was ready for release, and people are now purchasing it.
Awesome. Was this your first chance to see it in person?
No, I've actually had one for about 4 months testing.
Okay.
So I got like one of the first prototypes, and I've been using that exclusively. So no, I do have my own toy at home. So.
Awesome, awesome. So besides using Z1 on the dashboard, how are some other ways that people can utilize it?
Do you mean as far as?
As far as fourth monitors, tablets,
Fourth monitor is a very popular way. I get a lot of people showing me pictures of what their rigs are like, and they'll have a fourth monitor above their third. And that either is one huge display of the track map, for example, or sometimes they run 4 different instances of the software, and they have one running a track map, and one running a timing and scoring, and maybe their real dash, and perhaps standings of the race they're in. So they have all this information easily accessible. Other people might have a laptop or a Windows tablet. In fact, I use a Windows Surface tablet.
Okay.
And it's perfect. It's a 10-inch screen, and I can display my dash there. I actually use that for a track map. And we have a program called the Z1 Server, which if you run that on the SIM PC, transmits the data to anywhere else on your network. So the dashboard can then be on a remote computer, your laptop, whatever, and it can access that data and display it there. And that gives you a lot more flexibility in how your sim rig is going to work, especially if you do have another computer.
Awesome, awesome. And so is that just Windows and Windows-based tablets?
Yeah, it's just Windows-based tablets. Another question we do get a lot is, well, can I run this on my iPhone or my Android tablet? At the moment, we don't have a version compatible with iOS or with Android. We never know in the future, but at the moment, it's only Windows. But there is a solution right now, which is there are programs which allow Windows to recognize your phone as a Windows monitor.
Okay.
Programs such as Air Display or Tumon. And if you run that, you can then just run the dashboard on your SIM PC, and you drag it over to your phone, and your phone then becomes basically another monitor where you're displaying the dashboard.
Gotcha, gotcha. Well, that's a pretty slick way of doing it.
Yeah, it works very well for a lot of people.
So is there anywhere things that you're working right now in development where you're looking to take the Z1 dashboard? I do know, having one myself, that you come out with a lot of updates. Like
right.
You guys are constantly sending out new updates. So is there any kind of little projects you're working on right now?
Like you said, we come out with updates 4 times a year, major updates. And our next one will be due in the end of June. So we just released one, version 4.6, at the end of March. And our big idea for, without giving too much away,
Yeah.
for the next version of 4.7 is to improve the pit stop and the strategy part of the dashboard.
Okay.
Because right now, like I think I mentioned before, with the track map dashboard, once you get close to your pit stop, it will show you where you're going to come out afterwards. So that's incredibly useful, but we think we can do more with it. So we're going to be working on that to make that even more helpful and more feature-rich.
Gotcha, gotcha. Are your updates usually in line with the iRacing updates throughout the year?
They are usually about 2 weeks afterwards.
Sure.
This gives us the chance to fix any bugs that might have come up with through an iRacing update. And it also puts it on the calendar schedule to ending up with one in the beginning of the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, and fourth quarter of the year.
Sure.
And also, we need to mention that it doesn't just work on iRacing.
Yeah, I was going to get to that. Yes. What other titles are supported outside of iRacing?
Right. We support R-Factor 1 and 2, Assetto Corsa, Project Cars, GameStop Car, and Simbin F1 titles. Sorry, Codemaster F1 titles, and some Simbin titles.
Okay. Excellent, excellent. So there you go. So even if you aren't necessarily an iRacing member, or you're iRacing and you like to race a bunch of other different sims,
right,
the Z1 dashboard can be there and giving you all the good information you want.
Right, yeah, it's good. A lot of people, they have multiple sims, they race multiple sims, and the ability to use one piece of software across everything is important for them.
Awesome, awesome. So if people are interested in this product, how much does it cost and where can they purchase it at?
They can purchase it from our website, which is www.z1simwheel.com, or easier, www.z1dashboard.com. It costs $24.95, but if you give us your email address, you get a 10% discount code, so then you're down to 22 something. And then the updates, if you want, we give various options for how do you want to get updates. You may just buy the software and not choose the updates. That's one way. We do a $1.99 a month subscription, which gives you access to all the updates while you have an active subscription. Or if you just want to purchase a single update by itself, then you can do that for $14. And people choose various options of this based on how often they use it and what fits their choices.
So what if I want to purchase Z1 with the display?
Okay, so this display, the LCD screen, we offer with a non-touch version or a touchscreen version. So the non-touch version starts at $199, and the touchscreen version starts at $225. If you want to include the software as well, then it's an additional $24.99, obviously. And this one is a carbon fiber cover, which is an extra $22 over the standard covers, which you can either choose a flat black or a gloss black finish. And it comes just, as you see here, with the USB cable. Plug it in, install the drivers, and you're good to go.
Yeah.
Then the wheel here, this is also available on our site, the same z1dashboard.com. And this starts at $1,700. And depending on what your wheelbase is, it goes up to about $1,850.
Okay, excellent. So you can actually purchase the rim from your site?
Yes.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
And the wheel comes with 3 years of updates for the software if you already have the software. Or if you don't have it, then it comes with the software and 2 years of updates.
So besides the Z1 dashboard, you have the Z1 Analyzer.
Right.
So what does that do?
Right. Well, the Z1 Analyzer is our newest expansion to the whole Z1 software system. About 9 months ago, we came out with it, and we also upgraded the Z1 dashboard to be a data logging system. So if you're running whichever sim you're running, Assetto Corsa, Project Cars, iRacing, the dashboard will record your telemetry data as you're running. And the Z1 Analyzer allows you then to open those labs and view that data after you're done. And one thing we found looking with various telemetry analysis software is the majority of them just show you your traces and these graphs, and some of these graphs are very complicated. And so it's difficult to really understand, well, what is this telling me? There's a lot of data there, and obviously I can use that to help my setup and possibly help me, but I'm not sure where to start. So with the Z1 Analyzer, we wanted to simplify that and present the data in more of a plain English style with suggestions. So you can load your lap, and it will say, these turns are where you're losing time. These turns are where you're gaining time. And it can show you an analysis of your driving line. And what's important here, and I think a good differentiator, is that we show the left and the right side of the track as well as your driving line.
Okay.
So if I'm going through a turn and I don't know where the track is, it's a bit difficult for me to say just looking at a single line in space. Well, where am I? Did I hit the apex? Did I miss it? I'm not sure. So by seeing the track edges, you do know that. You know that you hit this apex or you didn't. And also the software itself will, if you miss the apex, will highlight that and say, well, here you missed it. And you might only have missed it by a foot, but that foot could give you an extra tenth. And that's what's important.
Okay.
And you can load in a comparison lap. So say you have a lap which is a really fast lap, and you want to compare yourself to that lap. You load both, and it can say, okay, well, this is a breakdown by sectors of who's faster by how much, and this is a breakdown of each turn. Turn 1, you were maybe a tenth or 2/10 faster or slower, so you know where to focus your efforts. And then it can also tell you where did you have any brake lockups, or where did you have any car grounding out. Did your front splitter hit? Did a wheel shock bottom out? Things like that. So we find that much easier to understand for the majority of drivers, and they can focus on improving themselves as a driver, which is important. Because for me, when I first drive a track, I don't touch the setup.
Yeah.
I want to make sure I can drive that track and I'm consistently hitting all my marks. And I know that after I do that, if I make a setup change, it's not because I drove differently, it's because the setup made a difference. So by focusing on the driver, we feel that it puts the analyzer in sort of a unique position among other telemetry programs, because it helps you improve, and that's the easiest thing to improve, is hitting your marks, getting turn in right, and getting on and off the brakes and things like that.
I like that. I like that it clearly just says, this is a good turn, this is a bad turn that you need to go and work on and look at your line a little more.
Yeah.
I like that because, like you said, you can really get buried in the data.
Yeah,
especially
you can.
if, a lot of us guys, we're not engineering based and all that kind of stuff. And just trying to go out there and enjoy your hobby.
Right.
You want a little more, quicker inputs.
Yeah, you do. We do show the traces as well if that's what you're interested in.
Yeah.
But like you said, you want to be able to sort of as quickly as possible and as easily as possible look at the information and say, okay, this is where I need to work.
Yeah, I love it. I love the 30,000 foot approach, and then if you really want to, you can dig down to the dirt and really get into the nitty gritty. Love it. So I think we'll wrap it up there. And again, thank you, Russell, for coming on here and showing us all about the Z1 pretty much universe with all the different products you got there. So check out the product at z1dashboard.com and Z1 Software.
Z1 Simwheel.
Z1Simwheel.com for all these products. So for John Sable, thanks for watching Inside Sim Racing from iRace4Life. See you guys next time.